So good morning, everyone. Welcome to the third training action of B-WaterSmart, the Lisbon Living Lab. We, LNEC, Lisbon Municipality and Base Forum, are most happy to welcome you here. And we will be starting now. This session is being recorded for us to have the chance to go back whenever needed. So as I was saying, this is the third training action of the tools developed within B-WaterSmart for the Lisbon Living Lab. Most of you who follow us know that at the Lisbon Living Lab, driven by the five strategic objectives of ensuring water for all, safeguarding ecosystems and new services, boosting value creation around water, promoting adaptive change, and engaging citizens and actors across sectors. We propose to develop 6 digital tools and 1 technology. These 2 sessions on the climate readiness certificate and on the urban water cycle observatory has already occurred. And today we will be presenting, we will be having the training session on these, on 3 of these package of 4 digital tools for smart water allocation. And regarding the technology, we will be having next month. And the 4th tool will be tomorrow. So today's session will have these topics. So the concept, each tool, so the matchmaking, the risk assessment, and the decision making, and then a live demo. After which we will be having a training session, hands-on, here in person at the at LNEC, the National Laboratory for Civil Engineering. And the concept may be summarized in this question: how to support cities in tackling climate change challenges while improving water management. And which challenges are these that are faced by most European regions and cities? So we all have increased concentration of the population in cities and growing economies, fortunately. We all suffer from climate change effects, namely heat waves and droughts. And there's a need to increase urban green areas to guarantee the quality of life of citizens and the sustainability of urban life, as it is in Lisbon. So our ambition, the project's ambition for the B-WaterSmart ambition is to accelerate the transformation towards a more intelligent society and economy in water management, reducing the consumption and increasing the use of water sources that are more resilient to climate change, namely more independent of rainfall, such as the reuse of water for non-potable uses. So again, driven by these strategic objectives, the expected impacts of the tools that we are developing in Lisbon Living Lab are to decrease in the use of fresh water, improved water use efficiency, increased water reuse, reduction in water-related energy use, and nutrient recovery. And one of the solutions is a sequence of 4 that we have been developing in these last 3.5 years, is a sequence of 4 apps designed to jointly provide a complete ability to match water supply to water demand while managing water volume, cost, energy, nutrients, and risk. This means all the key describers or descriptors of these solutions. So the set includes 4 tools. 17 and 25 are the core of the smart water allocation, and 2 of them are relative to safe water use, so to manage the risk associated to water reuse. This is the environment that you will see today, the base forum environment with the 4 tools. So we will today be seeing these 3, and tomorrow we will have the training session on the tool 24. And now I give the floor to Rita Ribeiro, which is a colleague of mine here from LNEC, and who will be presenting the first tool, which is the matchmaking. Victor?
Hi, good morning to everybody. The idea of this tool, the matchmaking of supply and demand, is to our question or our challenge is how to enable planning for promoting adaptive change. So we focus on designing something that will help the design and operation of multiple fit-for-purpose water supply sources in one region or city. This tool is a matchmaking framework for formulating and assessing candidate combinations of 2 or more supplies, including reclaimed water. And these water supplies are meant for satisfying non-potable water demands and to enable ranking, strategic and tactical planning options. This solution is connected with the strategic planning. So for that, we integrate in this tool variables that are related with the volume availability, cost, energy, and carbon footprint or nutrient contents. This tool enables planning over the period of time that user design, and this tool is also based on geo-reference mapping. And the output of this tool is a set of candidate supply and demand solutions. And these solutions can be assessed for risk in tools 27 and 24 in case of water reuse, and all these solutions are compared and ranked in tool 70. So we are going to present how these tools work together and how this set of 4 tools work and connected with the other more general tool of the B-WaterSmart, the assessment framework, the 34, work together in order to help the transition for a more smart management in cities or regions. So we start thinking about cities' ambitions, so looking at the strategic objectives. These are the strategic objectives of this assessment framework. And for the Lisbon, we show the criteria that are relevant here. Then we move to look at the city. So we have several green areas here in Lisbon, and fortunately they are growing. This is one of the challenges. How can we have more green areas and manage water in order to sustain them? And then we can think in several ways. We can look to all the green areas of the city, or then we can do a kind of analysis areas that we are looking for a group of green areas. Then we use the matchmaking tool. So in this tool, we analyze water supplies, can be drinking water, groundwater, reclaimed water, so on. And then water demands can be irrigation, lakes replenishment, street cleaning, etc. And then to the alternatives. And this is a very important step here, because our alternatives are a kind of strategies that are the way as we can make real the strategic objectives. So we have one strategy that is maintain the status quo, or we can look at here in the example that we are going to present, look at the local source of fresh water, or to promote circular economy. This is our main goal. And then the matching. The matching is very important because the matching is demand driven. A kind of, I like to say, a kind of Airbnb. So we are the clients, city is the client, and wants to look at all the proposals that we have here with other sources. And then we work and we think based on what-if scenarios for sensitive gain. But this is grounds on the real data. And then we use indicators and variables to support this decision making. Then we move to, if we have water reuse, we need to provide a safe water reuse. So we need to do a risk assessment and and if needed, to manage the risk in the network distribution of reclaimed water. And finally, we arrive to the point that we make the decision. And these decisions are based on the indicators that are linked to the assessment framework. So in this way, we improve the transparency in the database decision-making process. So this is the main core of the 25 matchmaking tool. This is just to say, to prepare you about the example that we are going to show in the live demo. And our goal in this example is our challenge is to see how it's feasible to irrigate an area of the city with reclaimed water. Then I'll move to the other two. Yes. Yes, risk management. So risk assessment. Yes, and the questions
we will leave the questions to the end.
Yes, we will leave the questions to the end. Okay, this is the other tool, risk assessment, and our goal is how to promote a safe water reuse for non-potable uses. This tool implements a user-friendly risk assessment framework for water reuse in non-potable uses based on relevant ISO standards. These are the standards, and on the European regulation on minimum requirement for water reuse. And today, like a kind of coincidence, but very nice, it was published Commission Delegated Regulation to enforce this regulation, the 2020 on minimum requirements for water reuse in agriculture. And this in this delegate regulation, the approach that is suggested or recommended is very similar to one that we already included in this tool, because we designed this tool based on the ISO standard and on the regulation. So it's completely up to date to the demands of the European Commission. Going back to the tool, this is an expert knowledge available for risk management and stakeholders, and it guides the user through this complex context of public health and environment risk guidelines. It makes expert knowledge available to people. It's very important. It has an innovative methodology for building hazard exposure scenarios. It was designed here in the project. And it provides a risk assessment for non-potable water reuse. And it works automatically with the candidate supply-demand combination of tool 25, but also can work as a standalone application. So I'm going to explain briefly how the risk assessment is made. So we have reclaimed water and one non-potable use. And we have three stages for doing the risk assessment, and they are defining in ISO 31000. Risk identification, risk analysis, and risk assessment. And with the result of this risk assessment, it is the risk treatment is defined in order to provide a safe water reuse. So this is the system of water reuse planning, and it is a framework. Sorry, and I'm going to present the information that it needs to be included. Information: we need to describe the water reclamation use and the reuse requirements, and then moving to the stage of the risk assessment. First, we need to build scenarios of exposure. So we need to identify the hazards, the population or the environment at risk, the exposure routes, and the activities that cause that are in the root of this risk. Then we need to identify the hazard events that can increase this risk. This is the first stage. Then we move to the risk analysis. It's a classification. We have a range, and then we will classify the likelihood of exposure to hazards and also the consequence of the potential damage in each of the scenarios that were defined previously. And then we judge, this is the judgment phase, that we rank the risk from minor to medium and unacceptable. And we, in this, in the tool and the framework, we have, it is integrated, there are two risk metrics. One for human health and surface waters, and then other one for groundwater. And then we have a result. It can be green, or it can be on the orange, or even in the red ones, and so on. So we have to, in this case, we have to manage the risk, defining, in this case, barriers and preventive measures that will decrease the risk level. And then we classify it again. And if it is all okay, all scenarios are on the green area, then we can move to defining the monitoring program and to the communication and training aspects. In the monitoring program, we want we refer that in the ISO, there is information about compliance and operation monitoring plans. And in the European regulation, it have some requirements to routine monitoring and validation. And routine monitoring is about compliance and operation control. And then the risk management plan also needs to have some requirements or some information and awareness and operation and the response to incidents. So these are the metrics the risk metrics that I referred previously. And this approach is referred and integrated in the European regulation. It's possible to do qualitative, and they recommend also, it's not possible, they recommend to do qualitative risk assessment in most of the cases. So only in specific cases it is required to do a quantitative approach. So the tool is about these four stages: risk identification, risk analysis, risk assessment, and the definition of the risk treatment measures. This is a layout of the configuration of Aisha and will present this in the demo. Is the requirements that how we configure the base of the risk the water reuse system in order to provide to do the exposure scenario buildings. And this is how we create the scenarios, and this is the result of the risk assessment. You'll see that afterwards. And then finally, we'll move on to the third tool, the 17 for selection of alternative course of action. And again, is how to improve transparency in decision-making process for water management. So I don't know, Sergio, because you are, this is your experience.
Yes. Okay, can you hear me? Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I guess good morning, everybody. Yeah. So the final tool and the sequence is, it has number 17 on the list. It's essentially a decision assisting environment where the user essentially looks at the different alternatives of the problem in question. In this case, trying to decide between the different alternatives that were developed in number 25 and cleared the risk assessment in number 27. And these alternatives are judged against a number of indicators, a number of metrics. That's essentially what it does. You will see in a little bit more detail when we go into the software, but this is the key idea. It's a very standardized environment where we try to set up a set of curative metrics, and then for each metric, there's a very standardized, very organized way of assessment to enable the user to have like a 3D perspective on how if you imagine that the different alternatives being assessed are the levels of a building, and then you have basically the X and Y at the bottom, which is time and the different metrics. We'll go through it as we go through the software, so it's probably better to just jump ahead and go. Yeah, these are screens from the tool. We'll take a look at it live on the software. What do you think, Peter?
Yes. And this is just to show.
Peter, I stopped hearing.
You are muted.
Yes, sorry, I wasn't muted. So this screen is to show how the decision is grounded on data. These are the results of the ranking, and this is how the metrics work with the reference values, and this metric is an example of one of the metrics that is part of the base for the B-WaterSmart assessment framework. And I don't know if we can have some questions here, or just questions too at the end of the session, maybe. Okay.
Yeah. There are some we can address, and then we prepare to move on to the live demo, right?
Okay.
But Pedro may moderate this kind of.
I don't know if there are questions.
If I can, first of all, congratulations on your presentation, Peter and João. That was very nice and clear. I'd just like to say that these tools were developed in articulation with the Lisbon municipality, and we've been testing them along with our colleagues at LUNEC. And hopefully they will be very useful for us in managing our green spaces. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Pedro. So before we move to the live demo, will share a link for the evaluation of the training, and I ask you your collaboration and answering this after. Yes, but I'll share now. No. Okay. So we'll move to. Okay. Click for external display disconnect. Okay. Okay. Sergio, começas tu?
Okay, I'm back again. Can you hear me? Yeah. I am audible. Okay, very good. Okay, again, so now we will go and take a look at the software, what you're seeing on the screen, and the presentation. Aisha will we'll give you basically a walk around the different parts of the software, and then the presentation is mostly based on an example. So don't worry, I won't speak for a long time. It's just a very brief overview. So this is the base form environment developed for this project, for this purpose. It obviously uses the general purpose base form environment, which is georeferenced and has all the capabilities that we will see in a minute. The 4 tools are at the bottom, and then the 3 at the top are just general purpose data querying tool. They're georeferenced, and we'll see some 3D maps and all that. Now, the 4 tools are the ones that Rita presented, Rita and João presented. You have a list at the bottom, which, well, it's not in the right sequence, but we opted to keep the numbers inside the project for the time being, and then all of this will be possibly rebaptized. But so we have the numbers there. The sequences from 25 to 27 to 17, and if necessary, number 24, the network model is engaged. We will see number 24 tomorrow. So today we're going to take a look at number 25, which is the second from right, then number 27, and then number 17. This is basically the idea. This is web served, so all you need is obviously an account and a username and password. The environment is very much Excel compliant, so all data can come in and get out, can get into the software, get out from the software in Excel format. So it's very compatible with outside usage, both before and after. And there are also APIs available. If there are other users to this to the data either before or after these apps. So I think that's basically it. I think I would ask Asha to start showing us the software. What do you think, Asha?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So good morning, everyone. I'll try to share my screen. Can you check if you can see my screen? Yeah, okay,
Yes,
perfect.
it's visible.
Okay, great. So So I'll start with the matchmaking tool, and then move to the risk one and to the plan. Just a little overview of the software. On the left-hand side, you will have the most recent files that you have been using. Then here, it's a user profile area. So I've been using the plan lately. This is a user profile area where you can see all your notifications, all your preferences, so the language, your phone number, etc. And then you can also log out through here. Then this little wrench here gives you access to the data. So you can drag and drop files just like in Google Drive, Dropbox. And you can also access your all the data files that Baseform generates in here to export for backup, for example. I'll show you that at the end. So going directly to the matchmaking tool here, you can see that on the top left, I have access to this folder everywhere, to my own folder, Baseform support, and to a library. I'll pick everywhere so that I can have access to Rita's example, which is here. So while we are going to drive into the example, I'll just show up some forms here so that you can have an overview on how does it look like to start creating files from your own. So the matchmaking tool, as you already know, it's a demand-driven tool. Okay, so it's divided in 4 tabs: supplies, demands, matchmaking, and map. Okay, on the left-hand side, you can see that Rita has configured, and she'll explain, 3 demand types, 12 supplies. So the supplies can be many, and then depending on the demands and the scenarios, there's a calculation behind. For matchmaking, the time period defined here is 4 years, so between 5 years. So 5 years. Then the total water demand in cubic meters per year is also here defined. And then you have link to the 17th to the tool 17, so the plans. We'll see that in a second. So just to give you an idea of a form, if you want to create a new supply for your matchmaking analysis, all you have to do is create new on the top right, and then define the name, define the type, the source of water that you have, and then the utility name. Okay, I'm not going to do that now, just for your info. So I'll open this one here, just for you to see. So this smart form already takes you, so when you define here a geometry, it already takes you into the supply point. Then you can see here the type, you can edit if needed, and you have a set of information about the water losses percentage and other notes on the water quality and water production. Then this requires time series, okay? So monthly time series are uploaded in here, okay? And in this case, we have water supply, but we can also have other types, so price, phosphorus, etc., as Rita explained. Then to go back, it's very important not to use the back button. So when you want to go back, for example, I just opened this one here. When you want to go back, just click on the name, okay? This is a useful hint. And then I'll go for of course, you can change the views. So some parts of the software tend to be are very intuitive. Can also collapse this one here. So the software is supposed to be very intuitive, but yeah. So the second tab here is the demands. Okay, so we have 3 demands here. A very important thing is that we always have like a thumbnail that is clearly identifying the space. So you can see this garden here, this one over here, and this here. You can always see the supply points. And, oh, I think there's a question. Yeah, exactly. Feel free to drop your questions on the chat. And then I'll open a new one of them. Okay, you can always create a new one. So to create a new demand, it's the same as before. So name, utility, and then the type of your demand. And then there's a direct link to the risk analysis. Okay, here I'm not going to open it, but just for you to know that the tools, they communicate with each other and on purpose, of course. So here again, this is very similar to the supplies. You define the name, you define the type, and then you add data. So these nodes that you see here, they will disappear for the sake of being more clear, and nodes are not relevant here. The geometries, again, you can just type the geometry here, and it will automatically create the boundary of your green area, okay? And then again, you just have to add your data, okay? So you can just select a file that you drop on the data tab, and then define the type, okay? It's important also, so this was strategically put here, all these boxes, these text boxes, just for you to know further about the data, so the data inputs that that are provided here, and this tends to be very useful for when using the tool on the daily life. Then going into the matchmaking alternatives. So here it's where the alternatives that will be ranked on the plan are defined, okay? So I have here the baseline, local sources of fresh water, etc. Rita will explain this in a minute. But I already have some key performance indicators here. And also whether my demand will be satisfied or not, okay? So just opening here. So this order is very important. So this means that the engine behind will make this more priority than this one. Okay, so this order is important. And then here is where you input all the data. For each month, you will have, you will identify so the demands and the satisfactions here. And you can, so this is for this alternative, of course, so we are using these two supplies, but in another ones, we could use others. So this is where you are really doing the matchmaking, so the types of alternatives that you are creating, okay? And then finally, we have the map here. So you can see, you can have like an overview of your green areas, of the supply points. So the dots here are the supply points. And having a map is always helpful, okay? In base form, we are very proud of our maps. And here you can change it, okay? So if you need a satellite view or a streets view, that's tends to be more helpful. You can always adjust your transparency, okay? And the other buttons, so they're just to zoom in, to see the full picture. And then this is for downloading what you're seeing on the screen. Okay, so so now I will move for the other one if there are no questions. Okay, so before going forward, I'll just show you the connections. So if I wanted to connect to the next tool, which is the 27th, I would go here, so here into the demands, and then open it here. So the risk analysis, so the next tool, the 27th, is a portfolio of options. Okay, a portfolio of scenarios that are defined for each of the selections that we have here. Okay, so each scenario, and we can always create a new one. Okay, here we can define the type of hazard. So all the classes that Rita has explained in the presentation, they are transposed into here, and you can add it in here, okay? So I'm not going to add one, I'm just going to show you for you to have an idea. So activity, hazard, events, I think this one, and then the initial risk evaluation, and then the final risk evaluation. So in the example, it will be more clear, all the options that are available, okay? So just to show you, from the matchmaking, you can directly assess the risk assessment, or you can go to the home page. To go to the home page, you just need to click here on the top left. Okay, so opening here the assessment, the risk assessment tool. This tool is divided into two tabs. So the analysis and the configuration. So the configuration is where we were before, defining all the options. And then we have here the two pilots in Lisbon, for Lisbon, okay? So, and then the risk assessment, of course, okay? So this is demands with reclaimed water supplies. These are the scenarios. And here you could also open the demand. So if I wanted to see the demand associated, I would just go here. And now, because I changed the way the background was, so it remembers the background that I had selected. Going back to the risk, so this is pretty much it, okay? And then the final one is the plan one. So again, I'm going to the matchmaking, so the central one, and then just to show you how to access directly from the matchmaking the plan. So the plan is here. The plan is where we are going to rank each alternative that we have defined here with very, very specific metrics over time. So from 24 to 2028, okay? The metrics, we just need, so the plan is divided into objectives. They are defined here, and you can always add a new one just by adding here, okay, in the notes. You can also add, enlarge these boxes here, okay? Then, okay. Then you define the time steps, so the 5 years, the metrics. So to create a new metric, so this is the reclaimed water used. It has a description with a very clear reference, and then it has a weight. So in this plan, we can give different weights to the metrics so that they can value more or less in the overall evaluation. And then we define reference values that will transpose the values into specific scores between 1 and 3, 0 and 3, sorry. To add a new metric, just click here, okay? Alternatives, so they were defined already in the matchmaking and they are here. Just opening one here, they have it's just a simple name. Then these can always be exported and imported back to the software. So it has this information here. So that's all on the left-hand side. For the data itself, the first step here, all you have to do is just enter the data for each metric over the years and for each scenario, so the baseline and the other ones, okay? It will have already the color, so while you are defining the values for the metrics, it will automatically convert into a scale of green, yellow, or red, as you can see here. And then the second tab is really the ranking. So here you can have a 2D view of whatever you decide. Okay, so you can decide an alternative. You can see each alternative here over time. Okay, or you can see each metric. Okay, so each metric over a year for each of the alternatives, and you can also order them. And you can also see them overall by year, okay? Now, it gets more interesting on the 3D view because as explained in the presentation, here you can see only one or the full overview. So the 3D view of your plan, okay? So usually the ones in gray are not applicable, or they need to have reference values defined, but Rita will explain in the example. And that's, I guess that's a generic overview. I just wanted to show you the data here, okay? So here on the data, you can have all the files. So I'm looking at everywhere, because I have access to that one. I can organize the files by type here. I can easily drag and drop one file here. So you can see here all the shape files, and the other file types, okay? So we have the zips, the water balances, the risk analysis files, PDF, so any type of file can be entered here. You just need to drag and drop. And you can use these to add a new folder, add a new file. Okay. Yeah, and oops, sorry. I just zoomed in. And I guess this is a generic overview. I'm not sure if you have any questions. I think it will be more clear when Rita shows it in the real example.
Okay. Thank you very much, Aisha. I will start show this. Okay. We are back to the tools. Then I will just show you how we travel on this application, for application small universe, but they are all speak together, and they are what is very important to say, they are very user friendly. But they also recognize the input of although they are very easy to work with, they need the user input in terms of the good information base and to think in the imagination now, and to what if scenarios that we can expand our decision. It's very easy, and because it guides our thinking. So just presenting this, I will show a complete an example, and then I will show how we can do the matchmaking in another new example. So we start also from with the demands. This is are the demands. This is I should said that the note words, because these boxes are very important. They have this is also one of the missions of these tools is to serve as a kind of repository, kind of database, information base, not database, and also an information base. So I can write down the information about why I think in this way in March 24, but other people from working with me can go there and see why I think, and it's very important also. In June, I can go back here and I think, oh, that's why I was thinking like it. I did this matchmaking because this was the information that I had at that time. So just to show one thing is how this is the user that designs puts the information on the software, and it's very easy. It's just to use this application, isn't it? And then just to show that it's okay. We go here and then we just pick something, and then I'm not going to do this, but just to show, we'll just design something and then just save and then put it here. So going back here, we have the demands described with the water volume and the quantity of phosphorus that is needed to maintain these gardens, and then two supplies. We have several. We have three green areas and several 12 supplies. And 12 supplies, they are reclaimed water, spring water, drinking water, and groundwater. But we have several drinking water and several groundwater, because these supplies are the scenarios that we want to analyze in the matchmaking. So this is why, and I can do the same for the demands. If I want to improve water efficiency and in these green areas, I will do a time series that reflects its improvement in water efficiency, and then I will compare in matchmaking. And the matchmaking is where we try to analyze different approach for getting our goals. And this is one is for promoting water reuse. So is the description. We have to include, because this matchmaking is a multi-criterion decision. We need to have not just matchmaking the volume, water volume, but we want to get the most so the most efficient, also the less expensive, or at least we want to be aware of the costs involved in this decision, and then we want to know other aspects such as energy price and carbon footprints, and the way we can improve the circular economy by using phosphorus that is in reclaimed water. And this is presented in the indicators that provide that in this project I have satisfied my demand. I have achieved a 40% of reclaimed water use, and so on. And the energy consumption is about this value from, and also the OPEX and the costs are this one. And then I can do for several projects and then compare and take a decision. And this is automatically calculated by the software. What I need to introduce in each of the in the alternative to provide information when I do the matchmaking is information about water consumption and the local energy mix for each of these water sources. I just show you in another example, a new one, how matchmaking is made very quickly, very quickly. We have here. Okay, I can do the baseline without changes with the status quo, and I want to use this here in another garden, Campo Grande. I will satisfy the demand for this green area. So I have here groundwater, and this is limited water sources. So this is the first to choose, because the order here it's very important. So I had it, and then we have it presents the demand for this green area, and then it says that it's satisfied in January. Groundwater is enough, but in the other months is not. So I have to. I will not fill this aspects here now. So just to show you how matchmaking is made. So I have to choose another water sources, and then I will use drinking water because it's the baseline is the status quo now as it is. And then you can see that the demand is completely satisfied, and we have this use of groundwater, this use of drinking water, and this is stays available for other green areas from these water sources. And this is the information that is already presented by the software. We have the operation cost, and then the water volume, what is satisfied, and is always distributed among the different water sources. So you see, it's very easy to define an alternative. Then I will move to another tool because we want to have time for the discussion, and just to show how the risk assessment is made. Okay. Okay. Going back to this example and choosing a garden. The first one. in the framework, we need first to define the water use system to configure it. And as Aisha said, this is a portfolio, but it's a portfolio defined by the user, because when we start, nothing is written here. It's the user that defines for this particular for the intended water use of reclaimed water, what are the hazards, the exposure routes, because it's different if we have people or just or vegetation or water sources, and the locals, activities, and population and environment and risk. This is the baseline of the water use system. And how we define it? We choose the group of components, can be hazards, exposure routes, sites, activities, and population risk. We write down a name. I will write down a name. I will say that is something about bacteria. Bacteria, a name. John Doe is a new one, and I will save it. And this is now we have here, and I will present that I can use in doing a scenario. And I'll do the same for barriers. This is the user that define the barriers, and it's important. The category is important because it helps on the analysis of the scenarios. We can have barriers that improve, that are related with water treatment and or to the green area operation. And the goal of these barriers is to decrease the quantity of hazard in reclaimed water, or to decrease the likelihood of exposure from the people or the environment. Well, the same for preventive measure and the other events. And we also wanted to link to the ISO standards or to the European regulation. And then the analysis. I'll go to a garden. I'll choose this one. We have a lot of, these are already exposure scenario already defined, and can be many more. But what is important is that this is the description of the scenarios. Sorry. That can be exported for an Excel file, as you see, but I can choose to see only the hazard, the population, the baseline evaluation, and the final evaluation. So the user can do this analysis in a very easier way. And I'll show something. So how we create the scenario. First we define the hazard, and we see that our friend bacteria is already here. So then we see that can be users. We differentiate the users and the water in terms of their vulnerability to the hazard, to the risk, and then the exposure rates, routes, and then where the risk can happen, and the activity is what you want, and why it appears, because there was a failure in the water system, and then it's a risk to human health. This is where the software decides which is the matrix that it will be used. And then I just classify the likelihood and the consequence to the children in this case, and then I will have some barriers and something like this, and signage and preventive measures, and then I will have a new classification because I manage the risk. And then it's all done. I will save. And you'll see that we have a new scenario. And I will just show something that is very easy to do. And then I will just show something. The idea here is if I have one scenario that the risk is not acceptable, all the risk assessment is not acceptable because the risk is we just have to have one scenario that is not the risk is not managed, is not acceptable to we need to do more. So we need to have 100% yes. And then I don't know if you want to show something about the plan, then or if you want to add more.
We can go there. Deixa eu usar o teu controle. Can everybody hear me? Oh, nice. Okay.
Yes,
Yes, I'll assume more on the plan side.
Yes.
Let's go there.
I'm hearing with an echo. Perhaps there are
I
two
know
people.
determine
Why this is a financial tool that we will compare the status quo with other things.
and I know that plan has some
Sergio, you are showing with
remarks there as well.
two screens open, so with an echo.
I think it's by now it's probably obvious. I know this is a lot of information. It's a lot of fair amount of software. The
Can you
tools
hear
are
me?
complex.
Sergio,
But essentially, as you can see in number 25 and number 27, well, number 25, you basically generate a number of things to be compared. You have your baseline, you have your,
Can anybody hear that? Can warn Sergio about the sound issue?
okay, sorry, give me a second here. Okay, oh, nice. All right. So it's better now.
Yeah. You've got
Is
to
it
read
better now?
because we couldn't
It is.
understand anything that you said. I'm sorry.
Ellen, I can't hear you. Okay, I hope it's better now. What I was saying is you have a number of options being created in number 25, your matchmaking options. We will always have a baseline option, which is to not do anything different from what you already have. And then you may compare that with doing things differently. So coming up with different combinations between your supplies and your demands. For a shorter period, for a longer period, it's prepared to be used for any time of period, hypothetical or real, in the future. So by nature, you end up with a number of different solutions to the problem, and that's the reason for the inclusion of this tool, number 17, so that we have the ability to compare different things, the different options that have been created. And let's open one of these that have been created previously by Rita. So what you have here, this is a very simple tool, and it's very easy in decision making to fall into the trap of making something very complex. And these days, if it doesn't have AI, it doesn't exist. But really, the last thing we wanted here was to have a black box. This is really the opposite of a black box, and this, like the other tools in this. Well, like the other two tools, the matchmaking and the risk tool that were very much conceived by the LMAC team and then developed by Baseform. This one, the planning tool, was also conceived here at LMAC a little longer ago, and Elena was from very much the guilty party in the existence of this tool. She can then so any questions you can ultimately send to Elena. She invented this, implemented it. So it's a simple tool because we all wanted to make it simple. It's designed to simplify comparing different alternatives. So the notion is, like Aisha has already shown, that you have ultimately a simple structure where so the different levels are the alternatives. So here's one. Let's just look at one alternative. What you have on the left-hand side is a range of time steps, and on the right-hand side, your metrics. About the time steps, they're nominal. We can decide any period. You can just basically say, okay, in 2028, I'll have these values, and 2027, and so on and so forth. Here, they're reversed. It's as simple as that. They are nominal. The user decides what is if you like, what is the implementation period. For example, let's say you're going to implement this over a period of 5 years, starting in 2030. So that's from 2030 to 2035. But then you also want to include an assessment period, an impact period that's the following 30 years. That's fine. Just define that. So that exists, and you can actually split it between implementation time steps and impact time steps. So that's the first important thing. Second important thing about the metrics. Each metric, well, these metrics already come from the matchmaking, as you saw them there. That's where they originate. And there may be one or two metrics that come from the risk assessment. Let's take a look at one of them. For example, cost, which is a simple one to imagine. Hey, this is total cost. Anybody can understand that. Now, important thing here is that, and in fact, here, Rita, I might make a little criticism of this curve, in particular. It's, the point of these curves is precisely that different analysts have different opinions about the problem. The way I feel about spending money is that I have a region where I want to, let's say, the entire domain is probably, you don't need to grade it all the way to 5 in this case. I don't know what these reference values are, but let's say 5 is 5 million euros or something like that. Something.
The idea was simple as that we are in the green zone. If the price of the cost of water, including
of course, this is cost of water.
Is up to 1.5 the price
Perfect,
of land water, because it has a lot of other costs that are not. It's not only about the price we pay about water, and then we enter in the red zone if the cost equals to the cost of drinking water.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which in this case was perfect
in 2028, in the end of the planning period.
Okay.
So this was a kind. It's because it's user defined. It's very easy.
So I hope you understand. How this works. It's important that this standardization of the values is, first of all, that it is monotonous from a mathematical viewpoint. It only goes down or it only goes up. It's important to avoid a classification where a metric goes up for certain values and then down again, because what happens then is that you don't know if it's red because it's too low or if it's red because it's too high. In that case, you split that. You create two metrics for that purpose. In this case, I would probably make it drop earlier and make it equally bad anything above 5. So I'd split it. I'd split the 5 at here rather than. But that's something we can see later. So this is how it happens. These metrics are to be few. As a matter of principle, we should not have a lot of metrics. If you have a lot of metrics, you have too many metrics. It's you need to keep it down because otherwise the decisional problem becomes unmanageable. It's also important that it is possible to express weights. So one metric can be more important than the others. For example, this one here has a medium weight. You will see that there is you can make one metric twice as important as the average. You can make it half as important as the average. The weights are controlled because otherwise, if a metric is very, very important, so much more important than the other, then just retain that one and get rid of the other. So it was important to keep the weights under control. So that about metrics, there's a lot to say about this, as you can imagine. If the metrics have different weights, the little circles the little spheres will have different sizes. And that's basically it. What am I forgetting here?
Just to say about the risk metric, it's about water reuse. So that's why it's gray. In
this case, in this specific case,
yes.
it doesn't have. Another way to do it would be to have it green because it doesn't generate the risk. So it's green in nature. In this case, it was not assessed for risk. It wasn't assessed for risk. So in this case, it doesn't have a value. That's basically this, and this was designed to make the visual decision an important thing here. As you can imagine, yes, you can rank. Yes, you could have AI telling you which one is better. That's not the point. The point is for you can rank them based on weighted averages. The point here was really to give the analyst a perception. None of these metrics are sufficiently strong that they can be operated numerically and give you a decision like that, a black box decision. So this is designed not to be a black box, to be a transparent box with color nodes in it.
May I?
Go right ahead.
Thank you, Sergio, Aisha, Rita. Now I think that, I think we have succeeded in showing how flexible the tools and the tool set are. But again, I think the user, when it first comes into is introduced to this kind of set, he doesn't want to have something that flexible, wants to have something that is properly a pathway and it guides him through the use of the tools. And for sure, so the tools in terms of base form, so our concept is flexible enough. No need to, because I have it here, I think. So the tools are flexible enough in terms of methodology and in terms of the software developed by Baseform, but then again, they are already customized for the use of the Lisbon municipality in this case. This means these kind of tools need to have a first configuration or customization by an informed user. And then it's easy to replicate it in other uses, so in other demands, with other supplies. I mean, in terms of other hazards that may occur, not only the regular ones, but also emerging ones. And coming into that, I dropped in the chat a question to Manuel, because for time limitations, we skipped to explain the work that we have been developed to help guide the risk assessment or to the environmental component in terms of the groundwater. And Manuel, can you briefly provide us the tools and the model that you were working with regarding, for instance, the drastic method to assess the vulnerability of an aquifer to, for instance, a contaminant, a hazard that comes into via by water reuse, for instance. Manuel is laughing, so he's very happy with this question, I'm sure.
I am very happy. I was trying to open a PowerPoint here. Hello, everybody. I was trying to open a PowerPoint, but I'm not able.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you
Not
listen
yet.
to me? Not? Are you listening to me?
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I was saying that I was trying to open a PowerPoint just to see the metrics. So I don't know if Rita can go back to the presentation she has made and put the groundwater matrix so that I can have at least some guidance, because I don't have the slides here to show. And can you put it, Rita? Well, I think that Rita was concerned with something else about.
Oh, no, sorry. I was muted. This is the link for evaluating this this webinar. Please fill in. Then I'll show your email. Yes, isn't it? Okay.
Can you show the two slides that I have prepared?
Yes.
Do you have them with you?
Sorry. Okay. Meanwhile, if anyone wants to make just to yes. Okay. Here it is. Share. Can you see?
Yes. And now can you go to the metrics?
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. Okay. So maybe the last two slides. Yeah, that one. Yeah. Can you put in PowerPoint in presentation mode?
I'm trying. No. Can you see? No.
Yeah, it's the other one. Can you swap?
Okay.
Manuel, you may go ahead without the power, okay.
Can you see? No.
Yes, that's okay. That's okay like that. So we have developed a risk matrix where we have considered the consequences and the likelihood. And concerning the consequences, which was what Maria João was asking, we have used a vulnerability index for groundwater to pollution, which is the drastic index. Can you click in the next slide, please? And the drastic index, it is composed of 7 parameters, which evaluate the vulnerability of the aquifer to being polluted. So we have applied this methodology. Sorry for this being in Portuguese because it was prepared for another session, not for this one. But we have the depth to the groundwater table, which is that D that you can see there. You have the recharge of the aquifer, which is R. You have the aquifer material, A. You have the soil type, S. You have the topography. You have the influence of the vadose zone media, I, and you have the hydraulic conductivity of the aquifer, C. So we weight each one of these parameters. We characterize each one of these parameters. We weight them, and we apply this final formula that computes the index drastic. And so you get 4 classes, or you can, the final index, which varies between 23 and I believe it's 26 and 223 or something like that. It can be classified into 4 different classes. Low, which is the blue one, below 120. Moderate, between 120 and 159. High, and very high, the red one. So according to this classification, we have a measure of the consequences that may happen to the aquifer if you use, for instance, reclaimed water with no conditions, no good quality. So if you have a high vulnerability area, so with very high index above 199, you are most likely going to have a high risk in that area if the pollutant load in the water that is being used is high. Anyway, we have concerning the likelihood of having a contaminant load that can jeopardize our aquifer system. We have considered two classes, the low and the high class. So the low, which is in the left side of the table in blue, and the high, which is in orange. And the low class is when the values of the several parameters that are in the legislation of the reclaimed water are below the standards for the groundwater. So if they are below the standards for groundwater quality, it is not considered that this water, the reclaimed water, will jeopardize our aquifer system. And in that case, we will always have a low risk of contamination. But if the values are above, any one of those values are above the standards of the groundwater table, then depending on the drastic index, we may have a low risk, we may have a moderate risk, or we may have high risk. So basically, this is more or less the description of the methodology that we have used.
Thank you, Manuel. Now, moving from the environmental risk to the human risk, what you have seen in tool 27 is what? So the purpose of this tool is to support the development, the definition of the different scenarios that must.
Please cut down the Rui and
Elena is saying something? I can't.
we listen with echo. So while you was talking, it's important that Rui switch off the sound.
Oh. So, as I was saying, tool 27 supports the development of the scenarios, which is the tricky part for those, and we can be really lost when we are starting to do, or we want to do a risk assessment. So it develop depending. So each user, well-informed user, needs to identify all the hazards, all the exposure, the routes, everything, the activities, everything. And then the software will automatically produce the scenarios. And then for each scenario, again, the user needs to, based on the best knowledge, assess or provide the classification in terms of the likelihood and the consequence. And then you ask, so the software does what? It wasn't possible to develop algorithms to provide automatically the likelihood and the consequence for the risk assessment. It is completely impossible. But what we can provide is the automatically generation of the scenarios. And then, for instance, going again back to Lisbon municipality, the tool, when it now delivered to the Lisbon municipality, has already several scenarios in it. So collecting the best knowledge of typical scenarios so that the risk manager or the people who is going to use the tool can be guided also in the judgment regarding the likelihood and the consequence for each scenario. And with this, I think from our side is okay. I don't know if someone has some questions, or Pedro from Lisbon wants to, as the first user of the tools.
Thank you, João. Yes, we've been using the tools, namely the 27 and the 25, and I confirm that they are user-friendly and useful for the Lisbon municipality. And I hope you can join us join us in using these tools. That's it. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
So if there are Oh, Elena, okay.
Yeah. So congratulations, really congratulations. It's really a pleasure. So it's a shame for me to recognize that I'm looking at the tools themselves for the first time. This is a shame to say that in front of everybody, but that was the reality. So I've, of course, been very much involved in the process and in some of the discussions and very much in the background, in the antecedents, not the background, and the antecedents of this. But so I am unbiased in terms of the work itself that has been developed in the scope of B-WaterSmart in terms of these specific tools. And what I'd like to highlight are some points. One is that all of this really fits the aim and the logics of B-WaterSmart, to have strategic view that goes from this long-term strategy to the hands-on decisions, and then being able to monitor the result of the decisions. It's fully in line with the B-WaterSmart framework. It's fully aligned with the strategic planning and the design of a strategic agenda and the implementation of a strategic agenda. So the results of these tools in the case of Lisbon or in the case of other living labs that may in some way use this type of tool are directly incorporable. The outputs can be directly incorporated in the plan that is being designed. It's really fully aligned with this. And so all of this is really coherent. And I do hope, and I'm very much confident, that this set of tools, with all the algorithms, with all the thoughts, so they look simple because they are very much mature. And it's not simplistic, they're really, they are already sufficiently simple due to the maturity of the thoughts and the work that is behind them. The other point I'd like to highlight is that the only reason or the only way to get here where you are now or we are now is really co-production. If we weren't working really in teams, research teams, software developers, use of the software, and the CML, and well, in the antecedents, all the other utilities we have been working very intensively with, it wouldn't have been possible to reach the stage where we are. It's because from the initial problem design, everybody was involved, and it was really a teamwork. Otherwise, we wouldn't have seen that. But well, so I am partially independent, partially biased due to because I'm at LANEC, and I was really very much in the antecedents and even in B-WaterSmart. So I would leave to the others outside to make any comments or questions or whatever they find appropriate.
So just to sum up, 3 things. One is to thank everybody and acknowledge the time you have spent hearing us. And yes, a user guide or the user guides will be produced. The second is to ask you to fill in the evaluation form, which is something that we need to do for the training, for all training actions within B-WaterSmart. And the third note is to invite you to join us tomorrow at the same time, now to hear the fourth tool, so which has to do with the water quality model. When we try to implement circular economy in urban water irrigation, for instance, we may use reclaimed water, so which is the more resilient and rainfall independent water source. but we need to ensure that the quality of the water from the place from the location where it is produced until the place where it is used is not degraded. So we need to model the quality during the distribution and to ensure there's no risk increase for its use at the application point. So we will be very much pleased to welcome you tomorrow, and you all have the invitation email with the link. And again, regarding these three tools that we have been showing today, if any question comes to your mind, just email us. You have in the last email, I think you have the contacts of Rita and of Sergio, so you can easily reach us. Thank you so much, and see you tomorrow.